Hello, welcome everybody. You can see it's 7 p.m. now here in Paris, and I know that we have participants from all over the world. And let's see. So I think there are still a few people there that are joining us. So I'll wait a little bit for them. But first, I want to thank our hosts, BenQ, Wix Photo and Video, and Calibrite for hosting this webinar this evening. Let's see, I think, yes, there are still some people that are trying to connect, but I will just mention it to you guys that this webinar will be recorded. So you'll receive a link to the replay 24 hours later. And I think I will start the presentation now. I will remove my the video so we can see the entire presentation. There we go. Sorry, I cut you off from the presentation, but now you should be able to see the first slide. And I'm just going to remove another window that we have there. Okay, perfect. So yeah, I think most of the people are connected now, so I will begin with the presentation. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Solli. I'm working as a full-time food photographer, and I have a background as an engineer. And I've also been working with online marketing almost my entire professional life until I decided to invest in my passion, which is photography, but also videography. I'm originally from Sweden, but I'm based in Paris since more than 13 years. And it was actually here in Paris that my passion for photography was born. It was the magical light that put a spell on me, but also the beautiful architecture, the history, and the everyday life, and the gastronomy, of course. So these are a few pictures that I've been taking here in Paris. And I think everybody who have been visiting Paris, they know exactly what I'm talking about when I'm saying that the light is special. I do many types of photography, but food photography is my main occupation. And I'm also a Nikon partner and an ambassador for Calibrite, and I'm also a AQ Color BenQ expert. And you can see most of my work on my portfolio website, but also my Instagram account. So I have two different Instagram accounts. I have one that is, let's see if I can move the mouse. Okay, here we go. So Solli Food is fully dedicated to my food photos. And then I have another account that is called Solli_K here, where I post landscape photography, in particular Paris and other trips. And during the pandemic, when I went through several lockdowns here in Paris, I created a YouTube channel. And here you have the link. So there you can find, so I created a YouTube channel devoted to food photography. So there you can find a few food photography tutorials. And it's something that I'm updating continuously. So there will be more videos coming up soon. And I've also been shortlisted in the prestigious Pink Lady Food Photographer of the year 2020, 21, and 23 with some of these photos that you can see here. But enough about me. Today we are here to learn how to achieve color accurate workflow for food photography. And before starting, I just want to present you the agenda so you know what I will cover. So to get accurate color in a photo, the light is important. And that's what I will go through in the first part of this webinar. And then I will explain what a color checker is. and also how to use it. And I will also talk a little bit about the benefits of editing on a color accurate monitor. And then we will finish with a Q&A in the end. So if you have any questions, feel free to write them in the chat box, and I'll go through them in the end. So I guess that's it. I'll move on to the next slide. So if you would ask me what's the most important thing in food photography, then I would say light right away, and not a beautiful dish. Because you could actually have the most beautiful dish, but if you don't get the lighting right, it will not highlight the beauty of the dish. So with the right lighting, you can highlight textures, like for example in this picture here, a salad leaf, and you can see the beautiful textures with the light that is hitting from behind. And you highlight the colors, like these flowers and macarons, but also small details. Like here, I've sliced a lemon, and you can see all the small details thanks to the light. But with the wrong lighting, let's move on to the next slide. Like this, oh, sorry. But with the wrong light, or rather in existing lighting, the dish might look not very inviting and unappealing, like this picture. So this is a photo I took in a restaurant while having dinner. And as you can see, there was barely any light. So it was pretty difficult to get a beautiful picture of the dish. But it is possible to save this photo and fix it. And I'm just going to quickly show you the result. So this is the original photo. And here I have edited it in Lightroom. However, since I have increased, let's see here. So this is the original photo. And here I have edited it in Lightroom. But as you can see, when I increase the exposure and open up the shadows, you can see all these, the gray that is very grainy, because there's a lot of noise since it was a dark picture, and that's not very appealing. So if you have, then I edited even more in Lightroom. So I don't know if you have updated, or if you're using Lightroom and have updated to the latest version, but you can actually fix the noise pretty well with a new denoise tool. And I'm just going to show you the results. So this is the final image, and here I used the latest denoise tool in Lightroom. And this is just a close-up, so you can see the difference between the final results and the first picture where I had edited in Lightroom. And so it is possible to fix a dark picture that was taken in a low light scene, but you would waste quite a lot of time in the post-production process, which is unnecessary. And why do that when you can use correct lighting from the beginning? And you can either choose to work with natural lights or artificial lights in any kind of photography, but today we're going to talk about food photography. And when I was doing food photography a few years ago as a hobby, I still had an office job. So my time to shoot food was very limited. I could never shoot during the weekdays because I left early to the office and I came home quite late after sunset. So the light was very low, and this meant I only had the weekends to photograph food. And I continued like that for a few years because yeah, shooting with artificial light was quite terrifying for me. I had the impression that it was very complicated, and the technical terms kept me away from artificial light for a long time, until I decided that it was about time to learn it and face my fears. And today, now when I'm working as a full-time photographer, I could use the natural light, which I do sometimes, but working professionally, I can't really depend 100% on natural light, because the sun is changing all the time, which means that you have changed the settings of your camera while you're shooting. And with artificial light, you will have the control of the strength of the light. And once you set the settings of your light, you don't need to change the settings of your camera. So you can do the shooting any time of the day. So here, while if you're using artificial light, you would be in control. And when you're using natural light, you really don't have the control, because you have to adapt after the sun. And it's, let's see here on this picture. So it's not very easy to see only by looking at a photo if the light in the scene is artificial or natural. So like here in these two pictures that I've taken, when I used to show these two pictures to people, most people think that I took this to the right one in outdoors using natural light, and this one using a flash. But it's actually the opposite. So when I was taking this picture, it was indoors, and I was using an artificial light. And here I was using, I had put the plates near the window, so I could use the natural light. And so let's see. And artificial light is also great when you want to take action shots like these two ones. So here I'm using, I think it's flower, that I'm capturing the movement of the flower, and where I'm dusting the flower. And here is a glass of wine, and I'm capturing the motion of the wine. So in these type of photos, you need to increase the shutter speed. So you need more light in your scene. And that's why I shot them using artificial light. And if you're not using artificial light and still want to use natural light, you need to have quite strong natural light. So it should be during midday, because in the morning and evening, the strength of the light is quite weak. And so you should do it during daytime. And if the natural light still is not enough, then I would suggest that you compensate it by increasing the ISO, but not too much, because then you could get too much noise in the image. And let's have a look on the differences between flash and LED lights, because we have different artificial lights. And LED lights, they produce a continuous and consistent light source, which is essential when you're capturing food, for example. And they also offer a broader range of color temperature, as you can adjust it manually. And on the other hand, flash or strobe, they produce a powerful burst of light that can freeze emotion and create dramatic effects, like you saw on the slide, on the previous slide. But the flash and strobe, they can be a bit more challenging to control, and you might have to take a few shots to be sure to achieve the result that you want. And with a LED light, if you're using a LED light, then you would actually see the result with your eyes, because you can see how much light you have in the scene. And personally, I have both LED lights and flash or strobes. And the LED lights I use for all my videos and also my stop motions, because in stop motion animation, there you need to, because you're taking many pictures and you need to have constant lighting, so to avoid flickering in the animation. So then it's a must to use a LED light. And the first image that you saw in this presentation, I actually took with a LED light. So it was the picture with the oranges. And that picture I took with a LED light from the new brand Hobolite. And this is the light that you can see here. So it's award-winning brand that specializes in high quality LED lights. And as you can see, it has a beautiful vintage look. And here you can see that you can adjust the strength of the light, but also the color temperature. So that's very practical. And yeah, I don't know if, yeah, I mentioned it, that if you see with a LED light, you can directly see in your camera or with your eyes how much light you have in the scene. So you don't need to take many test shots as you would have done with a flash. And Hobolite, they also, so this is the kit that I tried out from Hobolite. So they have not only, yeah, they have 3 different LED lights. So they have a mini and Avant that I have here, and a Pro that is a bit more bigger and more powerful. And they also have accessories like soft boxes, lanterns, and color gels. And so this is the behind the scenes picture of the picture that you could see in the beginning of the slide of the oranges. So this is the setup. So here is the LED light. Sorry, I'm just going to drink a little bit of water. So here I'm using the LED light and a softbox, and I have attached the a backdrop here, and here I'm using blackboard, a foam card in black, and yeah, I'm just using one light source because it's a dark and moody food photo. And here I've taken pictures of more oranges, and I'm just going to show you that you can't really see which one is taken with a flash or a LED light. So this is, I think this one was taken with a flash, and this one is taken with a LED light. So yeah, it's difficult to see if you wouldn't have known in advance which one has been taken with what kind of artificial light. But of course, if you're going to do capture motion, then I would suggest that you use you need more powerful light source. And let's move on to light modifiers. So there are a lot of accessories that you can use to modify light. As you saw on the previous slide, I was using a softbox. And a softbox is good because it spreads the light evenly. So this is a softbox, and it doesn't give any hard shadows. So I often use it for light and airy scenes. And in my dark and moody food photos, I'm using a honeycomb grid. So it's a grid that you can attach to your softbox. And it reduces the light waste, and you get a more concentrated light to your object. And you can also use a diffuser, so you can just hang it in front of your in front of your artificial light if you're using a LED light, or a flash, but you can also use it when you're shooting outdoors to diffuse the natural light, or if you're shooting indoors near a window. So if you're using the natural light, you can just have the diffuser near the window, so you have the light that is going through the diffuser before it hits the scene that you're going to photograph. And you can also use foam boards, foam cards. You have them in black and white. And I have many of these. These are a bit, yeah, I think around 5 millimeter thick. And they exist in different sizes, and they're very good to have because I use the white when I want to reflect the light, and then I use the black when I want to block the light. So as you could see in this, no, I think here, I was using a black foam card because I wanted to block the light in the scene. And let's go on to the direction of light. So I think, yeah, I wanted us to quickly analyze the direction of the light, because that's also important when you're using lights in your scene, and to see how important the light's position is and how it affects the object, and where the shadow is falling. Because you can see this is the same object, and I have the camera is on the same position, but I have moved around the light source around the object, and I'm just going to show you on the next slide. So for example, here I directed the lights on the object from the left side. So you can see we have the light is falling here, so we have highlight here, and then the shadow is falling to the on the right side. And then we can choose to direct the light from the front. Then the shadow would end up behind the object. And this direction of light is more used in portrait photography, because when you're taking a portrait, you don't want to show, I mean, we don't want to show the shadows on someone's face. So we need a lot of light. But in food photography, it's the opposite. We do want some shadows so we can see the beauty of textures, because otherwise, if we would position the light in front of our object, the object would be very flat, like you can see in this picture. We would lose all the texture. So I often use the lights on one of the sides, so either the left or right. So here I put the light behind the object. So you can see that it's lit up here. You have the highlight here, and we have the shadow that is falling in front. And this is very beautiful, in particular when you're doing when you're shooting drinks, like in this picture, because then we have a beautiful highlight here, and you can see that the light is going through the glass. So if you shoot drinks, then I would suggest to use backlight. And this is my lighting setup that I mentioned earlier. So no matter if I'm shooting a bright scene or a dark, I often use one light source and one bounce card on the opposite side. So here I have, I have my camera, the object, and the light source, and then I position a bounce card in the opposite, so in the other side. So if this would have been a light and airy scene, then I would use a white bounce card. And if it's a dark and moody, I would use a black black bounce card. So apart from light, we also need to get the colors right in a photo. And it's even more crucial in food photography because food is something we all can relate to, as we want to create an interest and hopefully also evoke an appetite. So that's why it's important to get the colors right as well, and not only the light. And the first thing you should ask yourself is if the white balance is correct. Because even if the object, like for example here, I've taken a picture of milk. So even if the object that you're photographing is white, it doesn't mean that it will remain white in your image, because it could be having a blue tint or a warm tint, like here. And for those of you who are not familiar with white balance, I will explain in short what it is and how it's measured and how you can set the white balance. So a light source can either be described as warm, neutral, like here, or so warm, neutral, or cold. And these graduations are defined as color temperature, and they're measured in Kelvin. And this is a color temperature chart that you can see here to the right. And here you can see that the warmer or more yellow the light is, it has a lower degree of, it has a lower degree of Kelvin, and the more cooler it is, it has a higher degree of Kelvin. So this means that the color temperature of the light affects what our camera is capturing. So even if our eyes would see an object as white, like this milk, our camera is not as intelligent and it can't adjust automatically to different color temperatures like our eyes can do. So here we have a bottle of milk, and you know, we all know that milk is white, but depending on the light source that you're using, it can either get a warm tint like here or a cold tint. And you can correct the white balance in different ways. You can either set the white balance manually in your camera by taking a close-up photo of 18% gray card, but you can also use a color temperature meter or a color chart. And personally, I prefer using a color chart because it has more reference points and provide more precise colors. So here's another picture that I've taken, and where I'm using a color chart from Calibrite. And I thought it would be interesting to show you how I'm using it. So this is the original photo, and you can see that it's quite a bit dull because the strawberries are not very vibrant. They don't have this vibrant red, and this turquoise color is not very vibrant. It's quite dull, and that's why I use a color checker. So it's a very powerful tool because when you're especially when you're shooting in controlled lighting, and so not only in food photography, because when I'm doing product photography, it's even more important to use a color checker because it's very important to get the color of the products right. And so here we have the scene with a bowl of strawberries, and it's very quite dull and flat. And I have placed the color checker here. So the first thing you need to think of is to you have to shoot in RAW, and you have to place the color checker near your object. And whenever the lighting changes in your scene, you have to take a new picture with the color checker inside the scene. So let's have a look on this example, and the size of the color checker should at least take up 10% of the frame. and you should avoid filling your entire frame with it, because you could vignetting could occur, and that would affect the color rendering. And you should also make sure to position the passport in parallel to the plane of your lens, and make sure it's not tilted. And to create a color profile that is accurate, it's very important that the passport is in focus. You should put the focus point on the passport when you're taking this reference image. And here I'm going, and also make sure that it's perfectly exposed. So I'm just going to explain, because then it only takes less than 1 minute in Lightroom to with the procedure. So I'm just going to show you. So if you're using Lightroom, you just need to go to File, Export with Preset, and then here you're choosing ColorChecker Camera Calibration, and then you are asked to name it. So then you just create a name, and then you restart Lightroom, and then you look for the picture, so either this reference image or the other picture, the test image, and you click here, you click on Profile, and then you browse, you click on Browse, and there you'll find the profile that you created. So here you can see, so this takes less than 1 minute, and here you can see the before image and the after. So you can see that the red is more vibrant, and the turquoise color as well. And after this, you can continue to retouch the photo. But from here, you can continue to edit, but at least you know that the colors that you're editing are true to life. So it's much easier, and you wouldn't waste your time in order to find the correct turquoise color or the right red color for the raspberries. And here is a close-up, so you can see how even if the difference is, it's not a huge difference, but you can see it's a subtle difference, and you can see that the strawberries are more vibrant. And I just also wanted to add that Calibrite, they just released a new product. So it's a target holder, and you can, it's very practical because you can use it for holding your ColorChecker. So it's multi-site, so you can use it for the small ColorChecker and also the bigger ones, and you can use a light stand, and it's fully adjustable with foam pads that you can see there and here. And then you just insert your ColorChecker, and it's much easier to have it in your scene. And when it comes to photography, having the right monitor is also essential, especially if you print, but also if you publish your photos online. And for a long time, I used the screens of my iMac, because I had an iMac like 10 years ago, but also my MacBook Pro for post-processing my photos. But that was until I discovered that there were monitors specifically designed for photographers. So today I'm using this monitor from BenQ. So it's a 32-inch panel monitor, and it's very powerful, and I highly recommend it because I love taking close-up shots like you have seen. So when I work with a 32-inch monitor, then I can really see all the details and retouch all the details. So it's much easier than if I would have a small monitor. But yeah, BenQ, they have a whole series of monitors in different sizes that are for photographers. And another important feature that most of these monitors have in common is that the size of the screen is either 24 inches or bigger. And they provide an excellent work experience and exceptional accuracy of details and textures at 4K resolution. And these monitors, they also cover 100% of the sRGB color space. And sRGB color space is used for publishing images on the web. So on your website, everything that is online, and 99% Adobe RGB, which is a color space that is used for preparing images for print. So thanks to these color spaces, you can see more realistic color representation in your photos. And yeah, I've also written that it has an IPS panel. And I think that's very important, that when you're choosing a monitor for photography editing, that the monitor has an IPS panel. And IPS stands for in-plane switching. So it means that it ensures that the saturation and contrast remain consistent regardless of the angle that you're looking at the screen from. So that's very important. So you can adjust the photo no matter what angle you're looking at the photo from. And I previously, before this 32-inch monitor, I was using a smaller monitor from BenQ, which I was very pleased with as well. And as I mentioned, they have a whole series of monitor for photographers. And what I also like with this one, this model, is that it has a matte finish that makes my photos look like prints, because I'm not a big fan of glossy or shiny finish of a monitor, because they reflect a lot. So I think this is great. And this is a picture I've taken from behind, just so you can see the size. I mean, 32-inch is quite big, but as you can see, it's very slim, so it doesn't take up a lot of space on the desk. And I also want to mention the calibrate, that is important to calibrate your monitor, because it is important to have a good monitor for photography, but you need to make sure to calibrate the monitor too. So when you work on your images, you want to be sure that you are seeing the real colors that your camera sensor was able to capture. But unfortunately, our displays and graphic cards, including mobile devices, are made by different technologies and materials. So I'm pretty sure that you, like me, before, when I was checking, let's say if I had edited an image on my laptop, then I send it to my mobile, and then I would see that the colors were not matching. So and that's because you haven't calibrated your monitor. So if you have a look at the same image in your monitor and in your laptop, you would most likely notice some differences. And for this reason, in order to have an image ready to be printed, or to if you want to publish it online on the web, you need to calibrate your monitor, and that's then you need a colorimeter sensor as well. So here I'm using the probe from Calibrite, and together with the software, I can I calibrate the monitor at least twice a month, so every second week. And I'm not going to go into detail, but on my blog, I have written a step-by-step guide on how you can calibrate your monitor, and it really doesn't take a lot of time. So just make sure to do it twice a month. And when you have a calibrated screen and an ICC profile, different monitors can finally communicate with each other by numerically describing the colors that are displayed on the screen. So that way your printer can communicate with your laptop and you would get the same color everywhere, even if you would send it to your mobile and publish it on social media or on your website. So make sure to calibrate your monitor twice a month and keep it happy. And I think that's the end of the webinar. And let's see, before we move on to the Q&A session, I'm just going to see. So I can see we have a lot of questions, but I also wanted to mention that Wex Photo and Video, they have a special offer for you, and you can find it in the chat box. So let's see. Yeah, so now it's been posted. So there is discount code Calibrite 10, and if you would use the code, you will get 10% off Calibrite until 12th May. So you can use the link there. And they also have this offer, so where you get the target holder. So the target holder that I mentioned in my in the presentation, so that you can use with your ColorChecker passport. So that's, there you have the code. And I think I'll turn on the video now and see if we have, hello, I'm back. So let's see if we have any questions, and feel free to add more. I'm just going to open the chat. Let's see. So sorry, I'm just reading, trying to find the questions. So we have one question from Meg, and I will read it out loud so you know what it is. If I want to use natural light, is there any specific time during the day it's better to shoot? That's a very good question. And I don't think I mentioned it in the presentation. So in the morning, we have this soft light, and also in the evening. So that's when I'm preferring to photograph if I'm using natural light. But if you like to have harsh lights in your scene and hard shadows, then the perfect time would be to shoot during midday, so around noon. But then, of course, it depends if there is a lot of clouds, because clouds would work as a diffuser for the light. So it totally depends on what kind of day. But if you want to have a soft light, then I would recommend you to shoot in the morning or later in the afternoon before the sun is setting. And let's see if we have other questions. We have a question from Joe. What kind of artificial light would you recommend to a beginner? Very good question. I think I would recommend a LED light, because with a LED light, you would immediately see how the light is, how much light you have in your scene, and how it's affecting the food that you have. So whereas with a flash or a strobe, you have to take a few test shots, and you'll get to know the light with experience. But if you're starting out, I think the best is to use a LED light, because then you can see the results immediately. And then, of course, you can use other kind of accessories to modify the light as well. Let's see if we have other questions. Let's see. And then we have one from Neil. I thought that the BenQ monitor had hardware built in for the color calibration, and that's true. They have BenQ. They have a software, so that is built inside. I mean, they have a software that you can use, and you can use there to calibrate. And I know that Calibrite, they also have a software for their probe, but you can use their probe together with BenQ's software and Calibrite the monitor, so that's perfectly fine. So that's, and then let's see if we have other questions. We have a question from Jack. If I have good natural light, should I use artificial light to enhance the image? Very good question. Well, sometimes it totally depends on what kind of scene you're trying to shoot. If you want to have something that is light and airy, or a mood dark and moody. If you want to have a bright scene and you feel that the natural light is not enough, then you could use artificial light. But I would start by using a foam board, a white foam board, to reflect the natural light, because as soon as the light is hitting the foam board, you'll have when it hits the foam board, it will bounce and you'll have more light in your scene. So I would suggest you to use foam boards to reflect the natural light that you already have. And then if you feel that it's not enough, then you could use either a LED light or a strobe or a flash to get more light into your scene. I'm going to see if we have other questions. We have one question from Mark. Do you recommend a 27-inch or 32-inch monitor with a MacBook? The size of the monitor is totally depending on you. So you can use any size of the monitor together with your MacBook. And I think the most important is that it should be at least bigger or larger than 24 inches. But yeah, everything above is perfect for photo editing. Let's see if we have. Then we have a question from John. What effect does a black bounce card have? So a black bounce card would absorb the light. So if you would use, so for example, in the picture that you can see here above, behind me, not behind me, but on this slide, on the presentation slide with the oranges, there I was using a black foam card to absorb the light. And that way, because if I would have used a white foam board, the light would have bounced back on the oranges and I would have more light on the oranges. But here I wanted to have more shadows, so I used the black foam card to absorb the light. And I hope that's the answer to your question. And I have another question. It's in Swedish, so I'm going to try to translate it into English. So do you use the lights differently if you have matte objects or shiny and glossy objects? And I think I wouldn't use the light differently, but I would probably direct it differently, because I don't want it to be reflected in a shiny object. And if I want to avoid a reflection on a shiny object, then I would need to use accessories like a big white foam board that I would have to keep. For example, if I would, let's say I have a fork or a spoon that is very shiny. So if I would take the picture from above, then you would most probably see me or the camera that is reflected in the spoon or the fork. But if you use something like a white foam board, then you would avoid that you would see yourself or the camera, and it's something that you can retouch later too. But if you're shooting, I think if you're shooting matte objects, it doesn't matter. But if you're shooting reflecting objects, then it's important to see how you're directing your light, but also how you're modifying it with the accessories. And we have a question from Dustin. Do you use the same ColorChecker to shoot both video and photo? I actually have 2 ColorCheckers. I don't have them here with me right here, so I can't show you them, but they look almost the same. And I know that they're even bigger for videos, but there are 2 small, one small for video and a small ColorChecker passport for photo, so that you can use. So I have the 2 of them. I'm not quite sure if you can use the one that is for photo for video, but I think the difference is the amount of the colors that are visible, that are in the color chart, but there are 2 different. Then I have another question from Mehdi. Does the size of the ColorChecker has any effect on the result? I think the size doesn't have any effect, but you have to make sure that the size of the ColorChecker, when you're taking the picture of the reference image, you have to make sure that it takes around 10% of the image. So it shouldn't take too much more than 10%, because then you would have vignetting, but not less than 10% either. So around 10%, like in the image that I showed you. And I think that's about it. If you have any more questions, feel free to contact me on my social medias. You have my Instagram account, or you can just drop me a message and I'll be more than happy to get back to you. And yeah, thank you very much for attending the webinar. I hope it's been useful for you and that you're ready to experiment with lights. And I would be more than happy to see your photos. And thank you to BenQ, Calibrite, and Wex Photo and Video for hosting this webinar. Thank you and have a nice evening. Bye-bye.